I kind of want to watch this video. And I wanted to watch it on stream because it's very poignant and specific to what we've been talking about on the podcast a lot. So if you guys will stay with me, you know, get some, give me your thoughts and feedback, etc. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. So this is ActMan. He dropped a video called The Never-Ending Decline of Xbox. Based on the title, I obviously have an idea what it's about, but I don't really know his take, and, you know, I don't really know exactly how he personally feels about Xbox and everything that's going on. If he's going to just jump on the bandwagon with everyone, almost everyone else, and be like, yep, Xbox is in massive decline. It's the worst ever, yada, yada, yada. Or if he's going to have some type of kind of more original take. Yeah, so we'll see. For me personally, sometimes it's hit or miss with him. There's sometimes I 100% like strongly agree with him, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't know about that. So we'll see. But regardless, he always makes good videos, and I'll pause to add my 2 cents because we do an Xbox podcast, so it's not very often someone does a Xbox specific video like a great creator like ActMan. So drop your feelings and thoughts in the chat as always, and let's see what ActMan has to say about the never-ending decline of Xbox.
There's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community.
Xbox has been in the freaking dirt for years now. And at this point, I don't know what it's going to take for these suckers to start finally picking up the broken pieces and rebuilding themselves back up into the brand that we used to know with the Xbox 360.
They shut down not one,
It's true.
not two, not three, but 4 studios.
And that means that Xbox has now closed more studios than it's released games this year.
Way I see it, best.
Is that true? So, wait, is that for 2024? That video? That would be kind of crazy. No, that doesn't make any sense. Is he talking about like? What is he talking about? Released games? Is it Xbox studio games? Not games that have come to Xbox?
Thing we can do is let the week go. Move on, get our money, start over.
This is a studio that was on the rise. You can tell they're very talented. They knocked it out of the park with Hi-Fi Rush, gave Xbox some of the best press they've received in a while. And what does Microsoft do?
Yeah, no.
Gaming.
And the Game Award goes...
Yeah, but it didn't make money. You can knock it out of the park. That's great. Doesn't make money. We've beaten that dead horse, though.
2, Hi-Fi Rush.
Not that you care too much about that, you rats. Oh, yeah.
So
when
dirty.
Tango wants to go do Hi-Fi, when everybody probably thought they were doing Evil Within 3,
And that's the other thing. They didn't do the Evil Within 3. They didn't do like the thing they're known for. They do Hi-Fi. It doesn't make like it doesn't make as much money as it needs to. It's like, well, what if you would have actually done the thing that, you know, potentially, we'll never know. Hindsight's 2020, but they wanted to take that risk. And okay, but just getting into this, I can already see where this is going. Please, like, look, I obviously am an Xbox guy. We do an Xbox podcast, but I also like have no problem calling a spade on our Xbox podcast. We've 100% been like critical of Phil and all the decisions, and there's been plenty of things, so I'm not some like I'm gonna defend Xbox at every cost, but I do want to approach this with kind of an open mind, and I think there's a lot of things people just don't consider when talking about all this stuff.
want to give the teams the creative platform to go and push their ability, push their aspirations.
You're all liars, and all goodwill is now completely thrown out the window. I am now back to being extremely skeptical.
Hold on. Sorry, my bitrate is... Why am I at 480p? Get me out of here. Sorry, chat.
About Xbox.
So the idea of flushing a humongous amount of their pool of talent down the toilet right now at a time when they need games more than ever, it's absurd. It's beyond absurd.
It feels like the final straw.
I want to say something. The first words out of the mouth of Hidden Xperia, great Halo creator, it feels. And that's been my whole issue with all of this. All of the arguments, all of everything with Xbox and, oh, it's going downhill, oh, they're making big mistakes, da-da-da. I would say 98% of the commentary, the negative commentary is, I feel like it feels like my feelings are you know, and very few people are coming at this with, all right, let's throw my feelings out the window here for a second. Let's just look at the data over the last 5-10 years, Xbox. Let's look at what data we have available about these games, about these studios, about everything, and let's make an informed take. Most of it is like, oh, look at the sales numbers, and that's the only metric, the only thing. It's like, well, that's important, but there's so, like, Xbox does not exist in a vacuum.
I've never seen this much criticism and negativity.
Just because there's all this criticism and negativity, that doesn't make any of it true. And that doesn't mean that Xbox is in a bad place just because people are saying it's in a bad place. It's what's that called? It's called the it's like confirmation bias. It's like, well, everyone's saying it's bad, so it must be bad, or everyone's saying things are bad, like going wrong, so it must be going. It's like, no, that's just not true. So again, I'm not like trying to defend Xbox, but when I see all this stuff, I'm like, well, just because everyone says it's bad, that doesn't mean it's bad, and because we all know how YouTube works as well.
Just running Xbox right now because of what they've just done.
It's not that hyperbolic to say that Xbox did die a little bit. It died in my heart a little bit.
Crypto permaban.
Don't get you no more.
Microsoft is in a situation where I really feel like they have no idea what to actually.
Did you hear that? There it is again. Microsoft is in a situation.
Body armor. 2 quick ones. I already know I'm getting there on the perfect line.
Thank you, thank you. Microsoft is in a situation where I feel like, there it is again. We should do a feel counter. I wonder how many feelings I feel like. Okay?
Do with their brand anymore.
Oh, the doubting. The doubting.
When you have a successful studio, when you have a successful game, and you still get completely shut down.
Successful by what metrics? And I know they said it was successful by every single metric. That's one guy, and obviously it didn't do its job, because we all know if it had success levels of Power World, of Call of Duty, of something that was making money hand over fist, they wouldn't be closed. They just wouldn't. So yeah, it wasn't as successful as everyone's making it out to be. Full stop. That's the truth.
Everybody laid off. You did everything right. What does that tell?
You didn't do everything right. You didn't make enough money.
Future people that work for Microsoft, they get purchased by Microsoft.
Means no one's safe.
That's true. No one is safe. And I would say, don't sell. Don't sell. The rumors of like Valve being sold to Microsoft, bro, no. Like, don't. Because that is what you run that risk, 100%.
Two aren't safe with a $3 trillion company backing them.
No.
Nobody is safe. Nobody in the games industry is safe. No studio you love is safe. Everyone is at.
And I don't think people necessarily should feel safe. I think it's better to live like, hey, you know what? We got to be prepared. Could lose my job. That's just me. Like, I like yeah, I just think this idea of putting your safety in a big company, like, I don't trust a big company. You know, I don't trust them for my safety and, you know, like, my security. I think that's silly because they don't care about you, right? They don't care about us. They're going to do what they need to do for the bottom line. So that's what's most important.
At risk of being shut down.
It's just good business. This is a world where nothing is solved. Someone once told me time.
I love all the movie references he puts in.
What's up, everybody? This is the ActMan here, and today, in this video, you will learn why the Xbox brand is failing, why they're not producing or releasing many top-tier titles anymore,
why he thinks it's failing, why he believes it's failing. I don't know. I don't know if it is.
How Phil Spencer's Game Pass business model is inherently flawed, and why nearly all of the major franchises from the 360 era are either dead, on life support, or taking an indefinite vacation.
Okay.
Happy time.
That's true. That's true. All the best Xbox games right now are, like, crap.
Today you will learn why the Xbox continues its never-ending decline. Are you ready to stop being a casual? Studies show that 9 out of 10 gamers who install Opera GX will not only touch grass, but feel the warmth of a woman's touch.
I am a Xbox gamer.
Scholars believe this is because Opera GX is the best internet browser for gamers. GX gives you an insane amount of customization in your browsing experience with GX mods. There are thousands to choose from, and I immediately picked the Dark Souls because I have gotten good. These mods change everything from keyboard sounds, themes, and the color of your browser. You can install as many mods as you like, mix and match between them, and swap easily. It's super simple, and it makes Opera GX stand out amongst the hordes of generic internet browsers. One of Opera's coolest features is GX Corner. Conveniently found on the sidebar, GX Corner keeps track of tons of upcoming games, their release dates. Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, hell yeah. It also shows games that are on sale, new trailers for recently announced titles, and the latest news in the world of gaming. Opera GX is perfect for me because I like staying up to date on everything that's going on. And GX Corner keeps all of this important stuff in one place, so I don't need to open 100 different tabs for it. It's time to get a browser that's as cool as you are, and you can download it using my link in the description and pinned comment. Download and use Opera GX today, and thank you, Opera, for sponsoring this video.
And now for something completely different.
When I made this video 4 years ago, I thought 4 years later, things would get better. They have not. Recently, IGN reported that Microsoft is shutting down multiple studios, including Arcane Austin, developers of Redfall, Alpha Dog Games, and Roundhouse Studios. But most notably, the developers of Ghostwire Tokyo, Evil Within 1 and 2, and Hi-Fi Rush were shut down. Tango Gameworks. This is a character-defining choice for Microsoft and Xbox. When faced with this moral dilemma, they did not tag along with John. They went back for the money. This is, of course, devastating for the people who work at these.
I don't know. They're a business. I don't know why people like expect Microsoft to be like a church or something, like a nonprofit. Like, you think they're not going to make the decision based on the money when they have shareholders? I just, like, yeah. I don't know.
Studios, but Microsoft was there to make us chuckle a little bit by launching a brand new controller.
That was funny.
The burn.
So, you want to know if I can
their marketing.
But to all the unfortunate developers who were laid off, at least Microsoft is giving you this fancy backpack and some swag.
Oh no. Wait. Why did they send that to them? This came in the mail today. I mean, I appreciate the thought, but also the company that just laid me off. Yeah, they got to get their timing on this stuff under control.
Bro, are you for real? You want merch from the company that just laid you off? Now, if your brain is hurting already, don't worry. The pain is going to get much worse, to the point where you too will develop a tumor so debilitating that you qualify for a position in Xbox leadership.
No, I won't.
It's going to take time.
Okay, I fundamentally disagree with this thought that, you know, the Xbox leadership, the three like people in charge, like that they are just idiots and anyone can do their job. A lot of talk like, oh, like I could do that. It's like, no, you can't. None of us could. Like, these people have teams of people who are 10 times smarter than all of us, and they are working with insurmountable amount, like tons of data that shows them the true state of things, and that's like they are making decisions. Now, do we like those decisions always? No, not really. But like they are like they're doing what's in the best interest of the company. And that's where people are like, well, it's not that Xbox is in decline, it's that like you aren't loving it as much. You know, the shareholders are happy, but some fans are not. But I would say it's a very loud, you know, the vocal minority of fans who are saying Xbox is in decline, and then the other, you know, 99.9 million Xbox users are just like, oh, cool, some new games on Game Pass this week.
To fully understand how mind-boggling these shutdowns are and what a terrible impact this is.
I'm sorry I got to keep pausing. The reason it's mind-boggling is because you don't have all the data. We don't have all the information. We're not looking at all the information. Okay? There is so much data and so much to consider in all of this that we just look at, okay, like we can kind of see online like how much maybe money Xbox made last year or Microsoft made last year and how well certain games sold. But then it's like, well, why would you do that? They are looking at all the data across all the games, across all the company, across all the employees, across the economy, across how it fits into Microsoft, across there is so much more data that goes into these decisions. So it's no surprise that when he's like these mind-boggling decisions, it's like, well, yeah, for us it would be mind-boggling because we're working with it's a 10,000 piece puzzle, and we don't have one puzzle piece. We have one puzzle piece cut into fours, and then we have 1/4 of that one puzzle piece of a 10,000 piece puzzle. So it's like, I don't know. I just look at this and I'm like, look, from my perspective where I sit in my little house and just making dumb YouTube videos, it's like, yeah, why would you do this? That's the dumbest decision ever. But I know enough to know that there is so many factors that go into these. And I'm not going to talk about, you know, Phil Spencer's character or his feelings or heart or how much this hurts him or doesn't hurt him or he's soulless or he cares a lot. Like I'm not going to project any of that onto him. I have no clue. I don't know the guy. I've never talked to him. But it's like anyone should know that there's a gazillion factors that go into closing something like this. So I'm sorry I'm pausing, but these are the thoughts that come to my brain as soon as I hear this stuff.
Is likely to have on Microsoft and Xbox in the future. Well, in my opinion, Xbox has had 11 great, phenomenal years and 11 years of getting shit-faced at the bar, constantly telling everyone they're gonna be back on top. And I think I've finally seen through all the lies and deception that I've been told by Xbox leadership, the stuff that I bought into. I think I've finally unplugged from all of that. Xbox has become so far detached from what initially drew me to it that I can't even describe what the brand is anymore. I can tell you what it used to be. Xbox was the console that proved we Americans could do it too.
He's right.
Not just the Japanese.
He's right.
We could do it too. Xbox was a place for the wackiest, most creative niche games, a stunning variety that covered pretty much every genre imaginable, from snowboarding to boat combat. Xbox was a massive innovator in online gaming, couch co-op, graphics, fidelity, performance. And
so that being said, I think I would say that the soul of Xbox is in decline, but the business of Xbox is booming. I think that would be my take based on what I've seen. But he is 100% right. I know what he's going to say. This is exactly right. I got an Xbox in the Christmas of 2001, and I have been through every era of Xbox, and he's 100% right.
It pushed the technical limitations of the time. But if you ask me to describe what Xbox is now,
Halo,
I would say it's not Xbox. This is Microsoft Gaming. Welcome to Microsoft Gaming. Would you like to purchase one entertainment product? And even Seamus Blackley, the creator of the original Xbox, laments this revelation as well. Today, Xbox is like an amorphous blob, an all-consuming void hell-bent on assimilating as many studios as possible to throw their games on Game Pass and then discard the studios. In other words, Majin Buu. Today, Xbox is a brand that can't see past its own nose. They can't see anything beyond immediate short-term gain. Because the Activision Blizzard acquisition was $70 billion. That is putting some eyes on Xbox and what they're doing. They need to start producing results.
True.
Xbox leadership is in a tight spot, so they're looking for short-term solutions, and they're sabotaging their own efforts to foster long-term successful IPs. You see, Microsoft has all these different studios that they've acquired, and they have huge pools of talent under their umbrella. But isn't it odd that a $3 trillion software company could have so much trouble creating software? Seriously, man, why is every single Xbox game I'm excited for delayed, rebooted, going through development troubles, or announced 5 years ago and then never talked about again? Well, I'll answer that question later in this video.
Answer it.
The point is, the
retention.
one studio that
Use your retention
had
tactics
their shit
on
together,
me.
Tango Gameworks, a studio based in Japan, a market that Xbox has consistently failed to break into, who just released a Game Award winning, critically...
Yeah, but they can just open up another one.
acclaimed title. This is the studio you get rid of? Excuse me one moment. Nope. Still doesn't make sense. I didn't kill enough brain cells.
What? How does it not make sense? How does it not make sense? It didn't make enough money. That seems like the most obvious. Am I crazy? How am I crazy? It doesn't matter how good it was. It doesn't matter how. Nothing matters. It's just about money for these guys. That's it. That's it. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm like, why are you hitting yourself with a freaking piece of wood? And you're like, it still doesn't make sense. Yes, it does make sense. It didn't make enough money. That's it. Full stop. Period.
Congratulations, sir. You have just given me my $1 million.
Huh, great. What do I win?
Nothing. Now get out.
What?
Get the fuck out.
If we reduce the number of employees for better short-term financial results, employee morale will decrease. I sincerely doubt employees who fear that they may be laid off will be able to develop software titles that could impress people around the world. Where did this quote come from? Well, would you look at that? It's former Nintendo CEO Satoru Iwata, who said this after taking a 50% pay cut after the financially disastrous launch of the Wii U, so he wouldn't have to lay off any staff. Anybody at Microsoft or Xbox willing to take a pay cut to keep this incredible studio around? Anybody? Anyone?
And it's different. I mean, look, different culture, different philosophy, different business. I don't know, man. I guess I'm just in this camp where I'm like, I'm not like owed anything. And so when it's like, that's amazing. Like, everyone should want to go work for Nintendo if that's their philosophy and that's like what they do and you have security in that. But like,
You and Microsoft Games CEO Phil Spencer have been raising kind of
And I
the
lost my
alarm
job
that
this
the
year.
video game industry is just
By
not
the way.
growing, and there's a real need to figure out how to reverse that. What's causing the issue, and how does Xbox turn it around?
Yeah, the last year or so in video games, largely the industry's been flat.
Is that who I think it is? Why, yes, it's Capcom, celebrating their 7th consecutive year of record high profits. They're making more money than they ever have before in the company's 44-year history.
Making cuts.
What's their secret? Video game sales?
It's impossible.
What's this? Salary increases
They also
for all
had
employees?
They also had layoffs.
No!
Surely Capcom has to be like a $4 trillion company to afford such extravagant treatment for their employees and staff, right? Oh God, oh no, oh holy shit, oh this. This is what you don't get, Xbox and Microsoft. The words in these two articles. This is also—
Wait, didn't they have a ton of layoffs? Am I crazy? Chat, didn't they have a ton of layoffs? $2024 Capcom. Hold on. Was it 2023? Oh, maybe it was 2023. Maybe they didn't. Oh, here we go. Really quickly. I thought they had. I thought we covered it. Thunderfall. Maybe they didn't. I feel like they would have. Oh, no. Microsoft. They kept track of every layoff. That's so morbid. Maybe not. Maybe they're killing. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. I didn't see it. Did any of you guys see it? Was it at the top? Ugh, God. Get. Oh my God. I can't even close out of this. This website's insufferable. Okay, well, maybe. Can't scroll. Bogged down. Look at this. Oh, I guess not. Okay. Well, there you go. I feel like I'm going crazy because I thought for sure we covered, like, no, it all just says. Oh gosh, reject all. I hate it all. Capcom Japan. Oh, it's 2018. Okay, so I guess not. Well, good for them. Good for them. That's great.
This is also why you haven't and why you will probably never
They're in the minority.
break into the Japanese market. Make good product, sell product, make money back, pay employees. Employees who make good product are happy and keep working on next product. Slow down there, ActMan. It's a little too complicated, okay? Microsoft, being as big as they are, probably thinks they can toss out whoever they want and throw a bunch of money at a replacement, and that solves the issue.
I just don't think we're all interchangeable. I think things change when you change the people. That's why my motto is always be nice to the goose, is because I think the goose that lays the golden egg, it's not the egg that you need to care about, it's the goose, and the goose is the team.
We're seriously talking about mistakes that continue to be made. Since 2007, Microsoft is notorious for killing every golden goose they get their hands on. Phil Spencer praised.
Yeah, but Bungie wanted out of Halo anyways. Like, Bungie wanted to do something different than Halo. So, like,
Hi-Fi Rush and said that players could expect to see more AAA titles from Japan.
What is going on, Phil? What is happening to us? What's happening to you?
This is the first of many problems with the Tango shutdown. Microsoft is once again closing the doors on the Japanese market. Now, only Japanese developers who want to commit seppuku are likely to work with them. This is all besides the point that Tango Gameworks was extremely...
It's actually a really good point. Like, even though, you know, it feels like probably I'm like defending every single decision Xbox, Microsoft makes, it is a very good point that the people working like for these studios in Japan, they're probably less likely to go and try and work for one of those studios because there's that lack of security. To which I'd say that's completely fair, and I would go and try and work somewhere where there is that security.
Talented. They were founded by Shinji Mikami for Leon Kennedy's sake, the genius behind Resident Evil 4. What did he have to say about Tango's shutdown? Sad. Here's the thing, not every studio is capable of tackling different genres to the same level of success. A lot of them get stuck doing the same thing. So when a studio like Tango is able to swap from horror to action rhythm beat 'em up, and it turns out amazing, you've got some serious talent and creativity over there. You should nurture this golden goose, and you strangled it again. But let's hear Microsoft's side of the story, because
I think that's totally fair. It's a good point. Like, just because didn't make enough money and it was in the red and it was, you know, if they don't get rid of it, they're going to go under. I think there's a fine line between, like, yeah, he's right. Those are extremely talented people, and that kind of creativity should be nurtured. And so I would be like, dude, get rid of 343, because that's been trash, absolute trash, and it's not the same as like Tango. But again, we're working with such limited information.
To be a good explanation for this, right? So Matt Booty is the head of Xbox Game Studios, and he was the one who sent out the email to staff informing them of the shutdowns. Today I'm sharing changes we are making to our Bethesda and ZeniMax teams. These changes are grounded in prioritizing high-impact titles and further investing in Bethesda's portfolio of blockbuster games. I posted this video at the perfect time. It's just like I told you. They're going bigger games, bigger budgets, doubling down on established IPs, no new creative ideas, just stick with what's safe. We're gonna make fewer games with longer development times. Yes! Yes! The release schedule was too fast for Xbox's first-party titles. We slow it down more. Fun fact, video game production cycles have gotten so long that if a big-budget game studio started working on a brand new project today, it would likely be for the PS6. Fuck yes, I'm so excited for this game that had a cringy trailer 4 years ago and haven't heard anything
that trailer
since.
Looks
so
bad.
Fucking hyped for it. Wait a sec. Prioritizing high-impact titles. That's bizarre terminology I've never heard before. That's what it is, because they wanted to have a high impact on Game Pass subscriptions, which have been declining steadily recently. Surely Microsoft isn't putting all their eggs in one basket and betting big on Game Pass, right? To double down on these franchises and invest to build new ones requires us to look across the business to identify the opportunities best positioned for success. Do you have dementia? You're looking to invest in successful new IPs? Does he know? This is head of Xbox Game Studios, and he doesn't even know what Hi-Fi Rush is? What? Hold on. Yes, fuck, It's starting to make sense now. Everything's coming together exactly as I planned.
It all makes sense now.
No. Damn well doesn't.
But on the real, this is a really bad sign when, like, the same day you're shutting down a studio you're looking for, you say you're looking for studios, just like the one you shut down. So you can't really trust Xbox leadership when they say stuff like this. And what you'll find throughout a lot of their statements is that they contradict their actions all the fucking time. Also, we have to look across the business to identify the best opportunities? You don't have to. Just look at a tweet from your vice president of marketing. Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango delivered with this surprise release.
Yeah.
Overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam and Metacritic. Best audio design at the Game Awards. This is like getting straight A's, and your principal says you need to be held back in school.
I don't think that's exactly the same thing. I think it's more like, if we're gonna run with the school analogy, I think it's more like I need to think about that, because there's the direct correlation to, like, oh, you get good grades and you move up, but, like, again, it didn't make enough money, so it doesn't get to, like, move up. I can't think of anything else.
Like, what the fuck? We are making these tough decisions to create capacity to increase investment in other parts of our portfolio and focus on our priority games. Tough decisions? We have more than enough money to buy all of you, but not enough money to keep you. Actually, JK, we do have money to open a brand new sweatshop a week after closing 4 studios. What the fuck is happening? As we look to the future, there's an impressive lineup of games on the horizon. In 2024 alone, we have DLC, new game, DLC. I love how Matt doesn't even mention Hellblade 2, a game that Microsoft isn't promoting at all and releases in, like, now. As we look to the future, there's an impressive lineup of games.
I will say, I think their marketing, my Xbox's marketing and promotion, is not even close to what it could be, it should be, and it's part of the reason it's really, like, there's no identity. If you look at ads from the original Xbox and 360 era, the marketing was, like, just so awesome, and everything from getting, like, Halo 3 Burger King meals to you know, like, the Mad World Gears of War commercial. I mean, give me a break, dude. That was insane, right? We haven't gotten anything even close to that in terms of marketing in the last decade. And that is definitely, it's just a shame.
Games on the horizon. There sure is. I'm really excited for that Perfect Dark reboot. Oh, Perfect Dark reboot, still in very rough state. A big protracted mess. But I'm sure a new trailer for Fable is coming around the corner. I mean, that was one of my favorite RPGs on the original
So
Xbox.
good.
Development is slow due to Playground's inexperience with RPGs. Fantastic. What about State of Decay 3? That's looking pretty good, isn't it? Troubled development with State of Decay 3. Okay, do we get any games? Any games? Ah, Rare. They're working on something new, right? Everwatch. Don't expect Rare's gorgeous new IP to launch anytime soon. It's been rebooted. Okay. Microsoft owns Obsidian, and Obsidian always comes in clutch. I bet their new game is coming. Avowed has been rebooted several times. Now you know why Matt Booty is saying they have incredible games on the horizon, but lists 3 DLCs and 1 game. But speaking
Yeah, that's
of Fable,
bad.
remember when Microsoft shut down Lionhead Studios? And they were like, it was one of the biggest missteps.
We acquired Lionhead in 2006, shut it down in 2016. A couple years later, we reflected back on that experience. What did we learn? How do we not repeat our same mistakes?
Then you've learned nothing.
What makes someone a failure is not the act of failing.
That's a fair point.
But learning nothing from it. You have learned nothing with all the studio shutdowns. Xbox leadership continues to fail, learn nothing, and keep making the same mistakes decade after.
Here's the thing, though. I will push back on that, because look, when you want to talk about, like, freaking global success, okay,
continues to fail, learn nothing.
Hi-Fi Rush
and
is not even close to the success that Fable was. So closing Lionhead is not the same as closing Hi-Fi Rush, as closing Tango. Now, I would say that is not even a fair comparison. Lionhead produced like Fable, which was one of the biggest games in Xbox history. Like, it's just massive. I mean, you were talking Halo, Gears of War, Fable. I mean, that game was massive. And then 2 and 3, they're not my favorite, but I think they were all right. And so all I'm saying is to put Hi-Fi Rush and Fable like this, and then the studios like this, and to be like, well, they closed this one and they made the same mistake and closed it. It's like, no. If Hi-Fi Rush would have put out a Fable, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all. If they would have put out a game as good as Fable that swept the gaming landscape and was just the greatest thing ever, no. Hi-Fi Rush did not do that. So, not a fair comparison, in my opinion.
Making the same mistakes decade after decade. Splatoon is a great example of
there
how
might be
if you
other
foster a
examples,
sleeper hit,
but that
it can
one
become
I don't
an
think
enormous
it's right.
franchise all on its own. At Xbox, if you make a sleeper hit, they fire you. If buying games doesn't support the studio, give me one good reason to buy a single Microsoft game ever again. Well said. Does Xbox even remember how the PS3 managed to pull ahead? Remember when Uncharted 2 was such a sensation that gave back the prestige Sony needed to make their console a necessity? Notice how there's a 2? Because Naughty Dog was allowed to make a sequel that was
maybe
a bigger hit. It's funny you say that, because the real reason Tango was shut down is because they were pitching a sequel and wanted to hire more staff. What you say? That you only meant what? According to an article from Jason Schreier, Tango was in the process of pitching a sequel. Matt Booty praised Hi-Fi Rush, but did not specify why the studio was shut down. Booty said that the company's studios had been spread too thin, like peanut butter on bread.
I feel thin.
Great clip.
Sort of stretched, like butter scraped over too much bread.
Yeah, but that's Microsoft. Microsoft's a $3 trillion company. Yeah, but it's big business, man. It's not the same.
Booty added that the shutdown...
People just see the big number, and they're like, you have $3 trillion. You should be able to do this. And it's like they just completely ignore that. It's like, well, they're freaking... like they also hire a gajillion people and have a trillion products and quadrillion things. So it's not just like they have $3 trillion to just, but here you go.
Of Arcane Austin was not connected to the performance of Redfall. So we have two polar opposites. We have a complete flop, and we have a critically acclaimed borderline masterpiece.
No, I don't think that was right. If Redfall, again, was a smashing hit success, different conversation.
Both studios behind them are shut down, and it's not because of how they performed. Jason writes, both Tango and Arcane were looking to hire additional staff as they pitched new projects, which Booty and Braff suggested was the main factor behind their closures. Just further evidence of how disposable you are if you work for Microsoft. I've already talked about the massive fucking contracting issues they have with hiring staff and not keeping them on long enough to learn the engine and code that they're working with on a game. But Jesus, man. The massive Activision Blizzard acquisition has ramped up scrutiny on the Xbox division from leaders at Microsoft. Bingo! Ding, 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 ding! It's time to cut costs so that our profit margins, if we have any, look better, because that's all we're in charge of. So basically, these studios were closed to save money and the asses of Xbox leadership. That's the real answer. The only explanation that makes any sense.
The workers here need
money.
To know they ain't ever getting out of that hole they dug themselves into. This world is sick, dark, sad.
Xbox promised to support less sprawling creative titles like Hi-Fi Rush with smaller budgets and lower sales expectations. It didn't matter if a game sold tens of millions of copies as long as it helped bolster the Game Pass library. And herein lies the fatal flaw of Microsoft's strategy.
Here we go.
They are no longer interested in developing high-quality games that sell well. They're only interested in boosting their main source of income, Game Pass. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Game Pass. It's great for consumers. And I'm not criticizing the concept of Game Pass. What I'm criticizing is the all-in bet on it. This strategy is not resulting in best-selling games. There seems to be no standard of quality at Microsoft.
I think he's right. I think he's fair. I'm glad that he clarified, because I'm like, it's very consumer friendly. People love it. But let me listen.
With their first-party titles, and they're sacrificing other means of revenue to funnel everything down a single lane.
You acquire a studio for what they're great at now, and your job is to help them accelerate how they do what they do, not them accelerate what you do.
Looks like Phil had a change of heart, because now all that matters is what can you bring to Game Pass. So
that's, I don't know. It feels like a little bit of just like projecting intention onto them. And I don't know. I'm not convinced that that's just their all-in strategy, that that's the only thing that they care about. Obviously it's important, but I do think they're trying to, like, I think they recognize at least that they need to get back to, oh yeah, dude, Shido, what's going on, dude? Long time no see. I think they do recognize they need to get back to what Xbox was and the soul of it. But
so some of you are watching this video and you might be thinking, well, ActMan, that's just business. You shut down the studios and departments that aren't making you money. That's just how it is. We don't like it. But what can you do? Well, let's analyze Microsoft's strategy for making money off of Hi-Fi Rush. A new IP with zero brand recognition is shadow dropped without any marketing. Literally, the marketing budget for Hi-Fi Rush was
62 cents.
It's put on Game Pass the same day it comes out, so we're not getting massive sales.
They do need to do better at marketing.
But subscriptions, and it was hardly promoted at all after this, but it spread like wildfire because of word of mouth. This is also besides the point that Microsoft had an opportunity to show this game just a few months prior at the 2022 Game Awards, but they were completely absent there.
It's a bad sign when there were more Muppets at the Game Awards than Xbox World Premieres.
So, in my humble opinion, for all intents and purposes, Hi-Fi Rush was at worst set up to fail, and at best was given no help from Microsoft. And yet, despite all of these factors, it was a breakout hit in every key metric. If you want to argue that Hi-Fi Rush didn't make enough money and that's why they had to shut the studio down, that fault is 1000% on Microsoft. Leadership fucks up and the talent gets axed. This is why Xbox's current business model...
I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. Like, if the game was a worldwide phenomenon, and again, it's like... Pow World. We just keep coming back, which Pow World is kind of, I haven't heard about it. But like the initial success, right? How much marketing did Pow World have? I saw like the same picture over and over, but the game they made got people hooked in and were having a good time. Yeah, you sank some serious time into Pow World, right? So, like, this idea that it's all yes, they should have done better with their marketing, 100%. But even the games that they sometimes, like, they'll market will still fail. Like, I'm a big believer that it's all in, like, the game. And people are saying, yes, it's a great game. Yeah, it's good. And I've experienced this with Hellblade 2, because I just played it the other day. It's like, yeah, it's really cool. The graphics are good. It's like super immersive. It's a very unique game, but it's not one I would ever pay for. It's not one I would ever come back and play. It's just not like, it's great. It's a good game. It's a great game. You know, it's awesome. Hi-Fi Rush, same thing. I played that for, 3 or 4 hours, and like, yeah, they marketed Halo Infinite and it was trash. They marketed up the wazoo and it was trash. And we see what happened. It failed. I wish they would have closed the studio, but like at the end of the day, I still think it didn't make enough money because the game itself, yeah, it's a great game. And it's like I don't know, how do I compare this? it's like a you know, it's like a beautiful sculpture that you can just appreciate. You look like, that's beautiful. They worked really hard on that. That must have like taken them a long time. That's amazing. Okay, I'm going to go do something else now. And whereas like, and it is a difference in priorities. Like, it's not making continuous money. But if it was like something that people wanted to participate in over and over and over and over and be a part of, that's different, right? Like all these successful games that have gotten massive, it's because people love them and they want to keep playing them. And so I think there's shared blame. I don't think you can put it all on marketing. I don't think you can put it all on leadership. But I think part of it too is just like, what did Hi-Fi Rush do to keep people playing and keep it a smashing, like, I don't know. I'm just not sold like that it's the greatest game in the entire world, and then all of a sudden we're supposed to be like, what the heck? You know, it's like not Halo 2, right? It's like we're not talking about the same thing. It's not Fable. So to be like Fable only failed because Microsoft's like, no, Fable was going to be successful no matter what, in my opinion. Like if Fable, a game as good a quality and everything as Fable, dropped on Game Pass, it would take over the world. I feel like that's what Palworld did. It just kind of dropped, and people started playing it word of mouth, and then the world did the marketing for it.
Of all in bet on Game Pass is not sustainable long term. There's a great post that sums everything up, so pause if you want to read it all. But here's a highlight. The biggest paradox with Game Pass is that basically every game that launches on the service badly misses its sales goals. Makes sense though. Why pay full price to buy a game when you can play it for free as part of your subscription? Microsoft says it needs games like Hi-Fi Rush the day after killing its studio. I can't do this anymore, man. We need smaller games that give us prestige and awards. This is the guy.
Any idea where they go beyond the current Halo title? They registered 2 title IDs, 343 did. Look, we're at rock bottom with Halo. We have nowhere to go but up, right? Can't get worse. Right? Right?
I in charge of Xbox. What is he saying and doing?
Again, look at Capcom. They are soaring right now because of video game sales. So what's the plan, Microsoft? You gonna keep gambling? You gonna push COD onto Game Pass? Are you going to risk the guaranteed consistent sales of Call of Duty to boost subscribers for Game Pass? That's risky. In the eyes of Xbox, it seems like the efforts of an individual studio is not important. It doesn't matter how much your game sells or how prestigious and critically acclaimed it is. What matters is your contribution to Game Pass.
Double.
Did you move
Body
the needle
armor.
a little bit?
2 quick ones. I already know I'm getting there on the perfect line.
Not enough? No, these awards aren't enough. Where's the award for most Game Pass subscriptions driven? So again, by focusing so much on Game Pass and accessibility, Microsoft is putting their games on Steam. Game Pass applies to PC as well. They're launching their exclusive titles also on PlayStation and other consoles, so there's no real exclusives for Xbox anymore. Everything is multi-platform now, so there's no particular reason to buy a Series X, which is driving down sales of the console.
Yeah, but consoles have never been profitable. Ever. It's just like to get them into the ecosystem.
So
right?
It's not looking good. I feel like now is a good time to dismantle the bullshit marketing for the Series X being the world's most powerful console, because almost no game is capable of taking advantage of its specs. Hey Phil, how come Starfield only runs?
That's been a complaint we've talked about on the podcast for the last year, dude. Like, Hellblade 2 was the first game I was like, oh yeah, next gen exists. I've been playing all these games that are just like, what are we, like, what is this? This is not next gen at all. And Hellblade 2 is the first game that actually took advantage of the Series X. Nintendo keeps trucking along. They haven't added any of the Pokemon games that are on the store. I'm still having to use ROMs. Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's they're the biggest bullies in the industry, and they get a free pass on just about everything. And they're the most, like, you know, consumer unfriendly company that exists. But, you know, they get a pass and they're praised for everything.
runs at 30 frames. Starfield running at 30 FPS on Series X was a creative choice. Trust, not limited by our commitment to the Series S at all. There hasn't
that's crazy.
been a killer app for the Series X. And if there has, you can play it somewhere else.
He's right.
Microsoft's biggest advantage back in the day was that they knew software really well. So with the original Xbox, all they had to do was make a console that worked with the software they had. This made it much easier to develop games on the Xbox.
At that time, Japanese game consoles had very proprietary chipsets, and they just didn't work very well for, Western developers. What the DirectX group was proposing was there's a better way to do this.
I love Need for Speed Underground too.
PC architecture that you're familiar with, which is just going to work out of the gate, so they could spend more time crafting and building their games.
They had an incredibly developer-friendly story. You already know how to write these games. If you've written them for PC, you can write them for console as well.
This is no longer the case with the Series X. Like I said, all these fucking games are delayed, rebooted, or whatever. Yeah. Arguably, what was Microsoft's biggest technical advantage in breaking into the console market is now killing them, because Microsoft requires feature parity between the Series X and Series S. Tell me how this is the world's most powerful console when every game has to be designed for hardware that's weaker. Remember when Baldur's Gate 3 came out and there was some confusion about why it wasn't on Xbox? That's because split-screen co-op didn't work on Series S. I'm getting deja vu here, huh? Because of this careless oversight,
great game,
estimating Baldur's Gate 3 to be worth like $5 million, Microsoft missed out on the first 4 months of sales for the 2023 Game of the Year. What are we doing? What are we doing? They only made an exception 3 weeks after launch because they saw the game explode and thought, uh-oh, we fucked up again. Again, what's the point of owning the world's most powerful console if every game has to be reduced in size, scale, scope, fidelity, technically, everything?
Thank you. That is so important. As like, I remember the first time I played Gears of War on Xbox 360 and my mind was blown. I was like, holy crap, these graphics are crazy. And then the gameplay is amazing. There hasn't been that in forever. And I'm not someone who's like, I need great graphics, but it is weird. He's right. When you buy I got an Xbox Series X and I have never used it for anything next gen. I don't even know. There's probably less than 10 Series X exclusive games that even come close. Hellblade was the first game I ever played that was even close to like next gen graphics. And I was like, whoa, this is like actually crazy good. And then the gameplay was just like, meh.
To run on weaker hardware. I understand wanting to offer gamers a cheaper alternative to the Series X, but in hindsight, it's fucking stupid because you cheapen the experience on the premium console in the quest for accessibility. Here's a head scratcher.
The biggest thing I got from buying my Series X was faster load times. That's pretty much it.
For you. Why did people stick around with the Xbox 360 despite it being one of the faultiest consoles ever created?
Here we go.
Because the games were good.
Yep.
Pick any year of game releases for the 360
orange box.
And it will far surpass
look at that.
whatever we have seen on the Series X.
Look at that.
Xbox used to be a huge innovator. Tell me what the Series X has innovated in. Backwards compatibility? Sure, a bit, but we had that on the 360 too. Microsoft is not innovating with video games. They are innovating how you consume them. Now, I could go in depth with Redfall about how every major red flag was ignored by leadership at ZeniMax.
Yeah, that's on leadership. I mean, at the end of the day, Phil greenlights. Phil, like, these games get released under his watch. And so that is 100% on him.
Leadership at Arcane Austin and leadership at Xbox. I could talk about how this game never should have been released in the state that it was, but my brain is...
Master Chief Collection, anyone?
Genuinely starting to hurt. Phil constantly talks about how he's not going to push against the creative direction of his studios. And I can respect that. However, you can't be an absent father and just let the kids fucking do whatever they want. Somebody has to step in and say, we need a Slayer playlist for Halo. What the...
Yes! Oh my god! I forgot about that. They didn't even have a Slayer playlist! He's right. He's right. I would love if Phil was super hands-off, but then could read the room, you know? And I think that's what makes a phenomenal leader. not to make this a big leadership discussion, but the best leaders can see the big picture, look at the big picture and the vision and the forecast, and not just look at the here now, but look at decades down the line and have a vision and work towards that. And they're also very privy to all the details and can see in the details and can look online and be like, oh, wait, everyone's going crazy because there's no Slayer playlist, and immediately pick up that phone and be like, put a Slayer playlist on there. I want it done by next week. Click. Like that you don't need to, micromanage, but someone who can see for the health of the company and your games, make these executive decisions that are very important. He is 100% right about this.
The fuck is going on with Redfall?
Yep.
Okay, we lost 70% of our staff and everybody that remains wants the game to be canceled. Okay, we'll cancel it. Somebody has to come in and make the big decisions, okay? Instead,
I love
Redfall
that take.
was promoted as a major first-party title and Hi-Fi Rush wasn't. What's the standard anymore? Everything I've just said has been building to what I'm about to say now.
Okay.
If there's anything I want you to take away from this video, it's this. Microsoft is a software company. They produce software. They do not produce entertainment. They buy entertainment and sell it like it's software. Video games are entertainment.
Shout outs to Marty O'Donnell.
They are software. I know. But Microsoft no longer has the ability to cultivate or establish successful long-term franchises on their own. Instead, they rely on buying them, on buying IPs with loads of promise before inevitably running them into the ground and shelving them forever. They've been doing this since at least 2008. If you want your franchise to die, sell it to Microsoft. They've killed every golden goose they've ever got their hands on, and they will kill yours too. The big difference between now and back then is Microsoft knew how to promote a game. They would cough up the dough. They had a keen business sense for what would do well and how to promote it. They would push back creatively to figure out what was most important in a game. You can see this in the Gears of War development behind the scenes videos. They push back on things like the Chainsaw Lancer to see how important it is to the developers. It's like, yes, the Chainsaw Lancer was real fucking important. We need it. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. You can have it. It's like a test to see how confident a studio is in their vision, what they think is important. In my opinion, the role of a publisher is to push on creative decisions to find where the gold is. Where are the golden ideas? Everything worked out for Gears 1, but that's partially because Microsoft was taking an active interest in the game, promoting it as a killer app. I do not see or hear about this level of involvement with Xbox leadership anymore. Not interference, not involvement.
Yeah, I don't know.
So in conclusion, these studios...
I mean, I don't know. You can't say... like, maybe it feels like that, but I don't know. I haven't read anything. Maybe they're too involved, and that's the problem.
Shutdowns, isolated, aren't a big deal. It's when you look at the bigger picture that you understand how bad things are right now for Xbox. And I still love Xbox, but I've been wanting it to get back on track for over a decade. You say you hate disappointing Xbox fans, but you disappointed me, Phil. And I'll continue to root for you guys and hope you do the right thing. And I'm just one guy, but I grew up with Xbox.
True.
And I can't tell you what it is anymore. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. It was a
awesome
bit
video.
Nihilistic and sad and depressing. Hopefully they can turn it around. I'll be streaming the Xbox Game Showcase on June 9th. We'll see then. We'll see. What do you think about Xbox in its current state? You agree with what I said? Disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the ActMans for more awesome content.
Great video.
All right.
So I agree with a lot of what he said. I disagree with some of it. I think the biggest thing is the soul of Xbox. I think that's what he's getting to, is because of these games, like because of the lack of killer apps and great games that like speak to gamers, Xbox is definitely like losing its identity. And I don't know, yeah, you could call it the soul, right? The soul is often like someone's mind, will, and emotions. I think the shallow version is just like its personality. Like, I think he's right. As someone who's been in this ecosystem since day one, if someone's like, why should I buy an Xbox? My first thing would be like, well, they have Game Pass. That's pretty cool. But if you would have asked me, you know, let's say 15 years ago or whatever, during the 360 era, why should I buy an Xbox? I'd be like, dude, get Halo, get Gears of War. Like, there's so many great games that you can play. Fable on the Xbox 360. It's awesome. And it has all these cool social features that are so good. And so now I think he's right. I think that was always the pushback. If you look and watch a lot of behind the scenes footage from like game development, they're always like Microsoft. Like Marty has talked a lot about how they have to push back on Microsoft execs, and they wouldn't want this in the game. They wouldn't want that in the game. And they would have to push back, and it was like a fight. And I don't know how much that's happening. I don't know if Microsoft is just being like, just do this, and that's it. But the identity of Xbox is definitely lost in a lot of ways. And I would love to see them get back to that. Anyways, fantastic video. I know that was long, but I wanted to talk about it. Great video.